And I'm going to do my best to remember, because obviously I wasn't recording it. I didn't know the fight was going to go on, but... So as it goes, Katy Perry gets up and goes to take the centerpiece. That's when Gaga catches her out of the corner of her eye, and she stands up, puts her hand in Katy Perry's face, and is like... So of course, Katy Perry now has this really disgusted look on her face, and she's like, you know what? I asked for it, they told me I could have it, I'm taking it. And Gaga's like, oh, hell no, I saw it first, bitch, I'll cut you. And that's when Perry goes... So then Gaga, without missing a beat, goes, oh, Katy, I can only imagine where your mouth has been. How many boys have you been with? And Perry's like, that's the stupidest comeback I've ever heard. She's like, I don't even get you with your stupid hair, your science fair outfits. I mean... You be a mess, like a bitch, I would know. And of course, that infuriates Gaga, who's like... And now Perry, without missing a beat, is like, yeah, who could read your face with all the crap you've always got covering it? It's like a department store exploded on you. And then Perry makes this really, baby face and pouty face and goes... Boom, 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 even brighter than the moon. And now Gaga's blood is boiling. She starts taking her wig off, her earrings, and she's like... And then out of nowhere, Miley Cyrus just happens to be there, walks by, and she's like, pfft. Welcome to the land of fame excess. Am I gonna fit in? And they both turn to Miley and they're like, shut up, Hannah, Nebraska. And Miley's like, it's Montana. And they're like, oh, get away from me. And then Katy turns to Gaga and she's like, look, why can't we just get along? This is stupid. And then Katy's like, I know that one day we are gonna be friends. And Gaga's like, yeah. And then Katy, her eyes well up, and she's like, that was low. I have never heard you speak to me like that before. And Gaga's like, that's because I've never spoken to you like that before. It's, never been released. And then, of course, Gaga turns and looks, the paparazzi's there. She's like, crap. So she totally fakes it. She gets opens up her arms, and she's like, Katy, I'm sorry. Let's just get through this. We're fine, girl. She goes in to start to hug her, and you can totally hear her say under her breath, and then Katy gets real quiet and soft, almost like if a band lost their electricity on stage, and all of a sudden she's like, oh. California girls were unforgettable. Daisy Dukes bikinis on top. And of course Gaga has one last thing. She's like, Einstein, I'm from New York. Anyway, so they got along at the end. I don't know what Perez Hilton, I don't know if he's trying to make up this fight or if this is even real, but as far as I know, Katy Perry, Lady Gaga, they like each other. And that's the news. So anytime I start a new job, there's always one thing I do right off the bat. Well, it's the second thing I do. At first, I pretend to read the employee handbook while I'm really thinking of other things in my head right in front of HR. But the second thing I do is I befriend HR and IT. Because let's be honest, if the you-know-what hits the fan, no matter where you work, the two departments that are always going to be affected, at least 50-50, is either HR or IT. Plus, if you befriend IT, nobody likes them anyway, so you're already looking like a hero to them, and, anytime your computer goes wrong, you're first on the list. Don't repeat any of that in case anybody's listening, any of the IT guys. But it's true. So, if you are looking for a job, if you maybe are between jobs, if maybe you want to get out of the current job you're in, or maybe you just want to move up, well, I finally talked my friend Marie Makinson into doing an interview with us. She is an HR director. She's worked at a few places here in Las Vegas, but I want you to realize that she's talking about Las Vegas, but really all of her tips and tricks could really be transferred to anywhere, in almost any job. Maybe not aerospace, but almost any job besides aerospace. But no, she's got a lot of good advice, and she's going to tell you some of the things that she, as an HR director, wants to see from people. So maybe these are some things that you may or may not be doing. If not, now is your chance to improve. So here is the interview with my good friend, Marie Makinson.
Hello?
Hello, Ms. Makinson. How are you?
I'm well, and yourself, Mike?
I'm doing well, doing well. Enjoying the day, enjoying the day. I've been hearing a lot lately from not just my friends, but a lot of people, and I don't know whether it's just, I don't know, the perception that it's just negative out there or if it's really the case, but people say there's just not a lot of jobs out there, and I'm not buying it. What about you?
Mike, there are actually quite a few jobs in Las Vegas. We seem to be on an upswing. So I think the problem is that there's not a lot of qualified people in this town, or they don't know how to sell themselves.
Yeah, well, and maybe a part of it too is they just don't know where to look to find the right jobs.
That could be.
Okay. Where so you've been in HR forever. I don't want to say forever, but people come to you when they want when they want answers, when they want to know how to get the leg up. So another reason why I'm glad you're here today. Where should people be looking to find jobs? If it's online, because that's probably where most people go these days to find jobs. Where should they be looking?
So I think the best place to look for a position is Indeed. Are you familiar with Indeed?
I am, and I absolutely love Indeed.
It's a spider, so it goes out and it collects positions from other job boards. So if a position is posted on Craigslist, it'll grab it and put it on Indeed. If it's on Career Builder, it'll grab it and put it on Indeed. If it's with MGM Resorts, it grabs it and puts it on Indeed. So it goes out and finds all the jobs for you and puts them on one board, which makes it easier for people to find positions. It also gives you the ability to post your resume on Indeed, and I'll be honest, I found a couple of great candidates that way.
Well, and you raise another good point there. Even if it's not maybe a candidate, well, I'm raising a good point for you, I guess. Even if it's not a candidate that you are looking for currently, maybe that your company doesn't have jobs, you're still browsing Indeed to look for great resumes that you may want to consider in the future. Correct?
Absolutely. I've met people and they're superstars, and I don't have a position for them, but I will stay in constant contact with them. And as soon as I have a job that's right for them, I'll reach out. Superstars are really few and far between. So when you get that really, really great candidate, you want to make sure that they're still available. So staying in touch with people is really important.
And I think a lot of people think that HR doesn't have the time or that they don't really do that anymore. But it's just, as you just said, and I've known you for a while, that's not true. HR really does pay attention to who's out there and who's looking. When you talk about a superstar, what is a superstar? Who is a superstar?
Gosh, it's hard to explain. Sometimes you just have that interview and the person just wows you. I call it a love connection. I've had people that I interviewed, and within 5 minutes, I just knew that they were right for something. Didn't know what they were right for, but you can tell because they have a good work ethic. They just say the right things. And there's a difference between people who say what they think you want them to hear and people who just naturally, that's who they are. They really are a good employee, and you can feel it.
So it's much about an emotional connection too, then, because you do spend what 8, sometimes 10 hours a day at work at your job.
It absolutely is an emotional connection. For me, I want somebody who wants to work as opposed to somebody who wants to collect a paycheck.
And it's funny. It's interesting you say that because there's there's that theory out there that if you love what you do every day, then you don't go to work a day in your life. And I think a lot of people have forgotten that sort of motto or that theory. So, if you're not really in a job that you don't like, maybe it's not the best job for you.
Yeah, you can tell when somebody has that passion for what they're doing, that they honestly care about the guests, they care about their colleagues, they care about the company. And I've seen it everything from an EDR attendant who is wiping up after employees, but just you can see that they took so much pride in their job, all the way up to a vice president of food and beverage that you knew was giving 110% every single day.
Yeah, and you can tell, I think, not only just by their work, but the level of respect that they get from other employees. Correct?
Absolutely.
Now you mentioned words, and I'm a wordsmith, so I want to talk on that for a minute. I don't know if it was you that told me this or actually somebody else, but I feel like it's working. But on your resume, I was told to add in keywords or whatever it says in that job description. Like if it says, your duties would be to manage employees or to clean up after, whatever your job is, that those are the same words that they want to see in your resume. Is that true?
I've heard that as well. I know now that everything is so much more automated, especially in bigger corporations, resumes are filtered through the system. So, yeah, some companies are looking for keywords. And if the job description talks about, I can't even think, but 4 or 5 job duties, those are the 4 or 5 job duties that if you've had them, you definitely should list them. I would be cautious, though, of writing something that you don't have experience in, because once you get that one-on-one interview, whether it be with HR or with the hiring manager, they're going to follow up on that, and you definitely don't want to be caught over-exaggerating your experience.
Do you get that a lot, especially in this day and age?
I get a lot of people that apply for positions that they aren't quite qualified for. So, they think that a lot of their experience is transferable. And absolutely, there is a lot of things that are transferable, but there are some things that you absolutely need to have. I'll give you an example. I was recently looking for somebody in human resources, and for the more entry-level positions, absolutely, I could go with somebody who had, good customer service, good speaking ability, some computer skills. But when you get into the managerial positions, employee relations and employment, I needed to have somebody who knew gaming and, had some previous experience, bare minimum, in hospitality, in human resources.
Well, and so I think essentially what you're saying is, there's nothing that really outweighs the education portion of it or the past experience portion. That those are two big things that, you still absolutely must have.
Yeah, for certain positions, and again, that's when you move higher up into the supervisory and managerial positions. When you're looking at just entry level, I have a strong belief that there's a lot of things that can be taught. For me, I look for personality. I look for, a strong work ethic. And again, I go back to that passion. I can teach you how to wait a table. I can teach you how to hand out club cards, how to work at the front desk or answer a phone. It is the strong work ethic that you can't teach. It is the passion that you can't teach. And it is the ability to really, really want to please customers that you just can't teach that.
And, and what you're saying really transfers, I think, to a wide variety of careers, whether it's in the the hospitality industry or entertainment industry, anyone really. Because you're essentially saying that it's really the person that it comes down to, that they have to really want to be there, and you can tell the difference when somebody's not. What about that person who's sort of right in the middle, the person who really does want to be there, and you can tell, but they just don't have the experience, but you don't really want to let them go because you think they could be valuable? Is there some wiggle room in all of this?
Yeah. I have brought in people who didn't quite meet the qualifications before and was willing to kind of take them under my wing and teach them and get them to that, next level to get those skills. And I know other managers and directors who have done the same.
And and I'll tell you from just an employee aspect, we do appreciate that because, I think everybody, no matter who you are, everybody had to get their start somewhere, and everybody had to have been given a chance. So I think it's good to sort of pay that forward when you have the ability to do so as well. All right, so I want to ask, because now let's say, you're in a job or you're in a career, and then you have to perform. Then you have to be the person that you said you were in the interview, and that's not always the case. And listen, myself included, I was never fired from Fox 5, as some people like to believe. My contract was not renewed, and if you say that's firing, then every reporter in this country has been fired at some point. But I have been fired from a job. I won't say which. But how do you, do you see that a lot where sort of like the whole aura of a person changes? They were this great person in the interview, and then they get into the position and it's what happened?
Yes. And there's two different reasons why. Number one is when the person